Okay, I'm back here again, the one-take god, and I'm gonna show you some real fancy weakaura shit. Okay, we're talking next level. So I made this weakaura here, and what it does is it tells the efficiency and healing per mana of 2 spells, of Smite and Penance. So you can see how efficient you're being, depending on what you're casting. And what I did to do that taught me a lot, and I'm going to teach you all that stuff. So, the first thing I had to do, let me turn down the music a bit. I don't know if I even turned it down, but the first thing I did was I figured out this function called get spell description and then the spell name. And what this does is it returns the description of the spell. So, for example, if we look at Smite, the description of the spell would be, quote, smites an enemy for blank holy damage and absorbs the next blank damage dealt by the enemy. And so for Smite, I had to parse 2 parts, which was the damage it did, so I could multiply it by the amount of tournaments I had out, and the damage absorption, because that was an added on effect. That also counts as healing. So the 2 parts, so the first thing I did was I matched the 4 blank holy damage part. I string matched the 4 blank holy damage part in the description. Parsed out just the numerical point because I know how long the number's going to be. And if I didn't, then I will describe what I did there. What I did for penance when I don't know what the number's length is going to be. But I know what the number's length is going to be, so I did the fast way. Then I just took out all the blank space around the number, and I replaced the comma in the number with a blank space so that the number was actually a number to the Lua code. And then I could multiply it by aura state that stacks, because this weakaura is actually triggered by trigger 1, which is Sins of the Many, which is just literally the count of the amount of atonements you have out. It does more than that, but that's what we're using it for. It's literally the count of atonements that are out. And so we will multiply by the amount of atonements that are out, and then add on, well, that's a really bad song. Then we add on the damage. So I basically did the same thing for this one. We add on the damage reduction for the next damage dealt by the enemy. We just add that on, and I did the same thing here. I found in the string it's next, so x'd blank damage, and I could shorten that because there's only one place where that exists. And then I found S value, which is S value was the total healing that would be done by that cast, divided by the mana cost of Smite. Cool. And then this just makes it nice numbers. This just makes it a nicer number. Well, that scrolls a lot. Fine, I'll just keep it like this. So then I did the same thing for penance. Issue with penance is that you can actually get over 1 million damage in the description of penance, at which point stop showing the full number. It shows 1 point something million, or 1 million. And so to deal with that, I basically took out the damage number, stripped it to just have the number plus million if it's there, and then I checked if million was in the number, or in the thing that I thought was the number, in which case I took out million and multiplied the remaining number, which would be like 1.1 million, 1.2 million. The dam here would be 1.1 million, 1.2 million, and all I did was take out the million, multiply the front of the number by a million. Otherwise, I just stripped out the commas because the commas are still there if it's not quite big enough. Then I checked so this function here returns this thing here returns the triggers for the current weakaura, because aura environment.id stores the weakaura's ID, and this just finds the trigger states for the current ID, and .triggers finds the triggers. This is a table of triggers, and the second trigger, which is trigger 2, is part of the dark side, because apparently part of the dark side, unlike some other buffs, which I will show, doesn't actually increase the damage on the tooltip, but it does increase the damage of the spell. So we had to go and find part of the dark side, and if part of the dark side exists, multiplies it by 50%, because that's how much more damage it does. Then we get the p-value by just this time there's no added bonus from it dealing less, the enemy dealing less damage next attack. And so it's just damage divided by mana cost of penance. And yeah. And then this is just making it look like it does here with the smite, number, penance, number. And I'll show you that works. You see one stack, it has this. The ratio changes because penance will do much more damage with the buff from 4-piece and Tomb, the Radiant Focus. They have more efficiency when they hit more targets. And if I get part of the dark side, damage jumps up a bit. Or efficiency jumps up a bit because damage jumped up a bit. Yeah. So I made that weakaura. And there's a bunch of practical applications to all of this. Get spell description, obvious. If there's a number in the spell description that you need to extract out, it tells you what the number is. Another thing I found was you can find all this in the WoW programming API, but there's a couple other functions for spells that you can get. You can get the info, which can return, basically this is how you call it. This right here is it. I'll link to the thing in the description, to the page in the description that explains this, but basically you can get the casting time of the spell, which I will show you a use for, from this. And there's a couple other. You can get cooldown information. You can get description, obviously. And you can get like charges of the spell and stuff like that. So the use for the casting time was I made penance and Light's Wrath fire times. And these are in GCDs actually. And so for Light's Wrath, basically, I preset the value because otherwise it complains that I'm changing. Can I? My God, weakaura is bugged out. I can't click. Please let me click. Oh my God. Okay, whatever. I'll use the mouse. Or not the mouse, the keyboard. So basically, I get the value of the cast time from get spell info of Light's Wrath, and cast times in milliseconds divided by 100,000 divided by the GCD that I currently have, and return it, and so that's how many GCDs it will take to cast a Light's Wrath. And for penance, I have the same thing. Had to do something a little different. I actually had to crawl into the spell description of this one. And you can see in the description, I can't make it stay. You can see in the description it says healing to an ally over blank seconds. And I just pull out the blank seconds part and I can find out how many seconds, and then I divide it by the global cooldown, and I get how many GCDs that will take. Yeah, I think that's all I had to talk about. Atonement counter can be done with Sins of the Many. I also this is easy stuff. Then yeah, that's it.